So I guess I went back to a very black few months, you know, doing silly things, as you do when you're 22 and in young and in love.
Amy Winehouse laid sprawled out lifeless in her Camden sanctuary, 2 gleaming vodka bottles at her side, the Shangri-Las crooning on an endless loop from her laptop. Her legendary beehive flared across the pillow like a dramatic exclamation mark. But don't be fooled by the stillness. Beneath that tableau lurks the scandal of an overturned inquest, tossed out when the coroner was exposed as unqualified, followed by a misadventure verdict that solved exactly nothing. And let's not forget the cast of suspects holding the real clues, including her ex-husband, Blake Fielder Civil. So buckle up, we're peeling back the layers, tracking down those CCTV blind spots and asking the big question. Is this a heart-wrenching solo or a shadowy script playing out in real time? Just before 4 p.m., Andrew Morris swung open Amy's bedroom like an unwelcome finale, only to find 2 oversized vodka bottles glinting on the floor and England's gravel-throated nightingale splayed out, eyes half-lidded as if mid-refrain. By the time paramedics burst in at 3:54 p.m., her body had already started to stiffen, an unnerving hint that Amy's final hours were shrouded in mystery, not just a simple, sad curtain call. Camden Square then flickered under ghostly blue strobes while neighbors pressed phones against iron gates, capturing the moment the medics confirmed what everyone dreaded. Hours later, the toxicology report landed like a thunderclap. 0.416% BAC, over 5 times the UK's legal limit and flirting with levels often deemed deadly. Both the 2011 inquest and its 2013 replay ruled death by misadventure. Yet with key records still sealed tight, you can't help but wonder what secrets those locked files might whisper if we only had the key. Throw the calendar back to Osborne Road, Southgate, 1992. 9-year-old Amy was already bossing the stage every Saturday at Susie Earnshaw Theatre School. There, she teamed with her partner in crime, Juliet Ashby, to form Sweet and Sour, a scrappy rap duo splicing Billie Holiday's heart-wrenching scats under their defiant Spitfire verses. While classmates gawked and whispered, Amy knew she just struck gold. That electric tug-of-war between smoky jazz and street-smart swagger would become the secret fuel behind every unforgettable chorus she ever unleashed. Amy's grandma, Cynthia, wasn't just any nan. She was a bona fide 50s jazz siren who once had sax legend Ronnie Scott eating out of her hand. Her living room was a shrine to cracked vinyl. 1 minute Billie Holiday's Heartbreak, the next Dinah Washington's Sass. Every Saturday, she'd drop the needle and teach little Amy to feel the hurt before she belted it out. Forget dusty theory books. Those spin-weathered grooves were Amy's real masterclass in soul. At 14, Amy scrapped together every penny for her first guitar and turned her bedroom into a DIY studio, mixing smoky jazz chords with Spitfire rap verses that crackled like electric sparks. By July 2000, that mezzo-rich voice of hers landed her a coveted spot as featured vocalist with the National Youth Jazz Orchestra. Suddenly, Amy was singing in grand concert halls whose marble walls had seen more history than her entire fledgling catalog. Her raw talent and fearless attitude fast-tracking her from bedroom demos to center stage. Still not old enough for a legal drink, Amy hauled her trusty hand-me-down 6-string into the haze of Camden's Holly Arms open mic nights. She swapped shy glances for center stage moments, one note of her caramel and grit voice, and even the hardiest pub regulars froze mid-sip. With every pint-soaked performance, she was quietly earning a PhD in raw, unfiltered storytelling, one electrifying set at a time. Island Records finally snapped her up in 2002, teaming Amy with beat maestro Salam Remy and a crack team of producers. When Frank hit the shelves on October 20, 2003, it exploded with jazzy bass grooves and lyrics that cut straight to the bone. Against all odds, it stormed to number 13 on the UK albums chart, which is a jaw-dropping result for a debut this fearless. Critics went wild over its genre-bending mashup of jazz, R&B, and hip-hop, and even though the cash register chimed on a glacial timetable, Amy didn't flinch. She knew a cult following was the real ticket to unleashing her next sonic knockout. On May 27, 2004, Amy storms the Ivor Novello stage at Grosvenor House and scoops Best Contemporary Song musically and lyrically for Stronger Than Me, her first major writing honor at just 20 years old, co-penned with Salam Remy. That same month, her debut album Frank earned a coveted spot on the Mercury Prize shortlist, another sign that her star was ascending at warp speed. Back in Camden, she toasted the win with close friends, already scribbling fresh lyrics on napkins, which was proof that with Amy Winehouse, the next masterpiece was always just a sleepless night away. Imagine 2 years of bleary-eyed marathons, bar napkin scribbles, and bottom-shelf whiskey, while Amy and her sonic sculptors Salam Remy and Mark Ronson zigzagged between Miami's sun-baked cubicles and New York's echoing booths. They slapped Motown drum hits atop dirge-like piano chords, woven Dap King's brass that punched through lyrics sharp enough to draw blood. When Back to Black finally hit the streets, it didn't just chart. It bulldozed its way to #1 on the UK albums chart, crowning Amy the Queen of Soul, and cinching fame's velvet chokehold around her neck. When Rehab exploded onto the airwaves in October 2006, it was like a tuxedoed brass band storming a 12-step meeting, slinky bass, hand-clap beats, and Amy's fiery "No, no, no" siren. The chorus wasn't born in a studio, but on the backseat of a London cab. After her team tried to whisk her off to a treatment, only for Amy to slam the door and turn her refusal into a defiantly catchy hook. DJs felt the swagger, insiders caught the SOS, and before long, Rehab had shot to #7 in the UK and #9 in the US, cementing Amy as a powerhouse who could make even her most personal struggles sound like an anthem. On February 10, 2008, Amy had her limo booked, her dress ready, and then bam! The US Embassy in London slaps her with a visa denial, thanks to her recent rehab stint. Rather than sulk, she commandeers a cramped BBC studio in Maida Vale and beams herself into the 50th Grammy Awards via satellite. Clutching the mic in a sleek Fred Perry polo, her signature eyeliner running like midnight rain, Amy walked away with 5 trophies: Record of the Year and Song of the Year for Rehab, Best New Artist, Best Female Pop Vocal Performance, and Best Pop Vocal Album for Back to Black. Just as the applause died down, the tabloids pounced on her frail frame, splashing Gaunt Goddess headlines across front pages. Triumph and tragedy had never looked so tangled. Then swaggered in Blake Fielder's Civil, the self-styled king of Camden's back alley dives. He'd light her cigarettes with a tremor, sling her the nickname Kid, and smuggle in enough pills to stock a mini pharmacy. Amy even inked Blake's over her heart, an eternal billboard for that whirlwind romance. Before long, needles and pill bottles cluttered their flat, writing the next raw, unfiltered chapter of her life in high drama ink. Imagine a midnight raid in Bergen in October 2007. Norwegian officers burst into Amy and Blake's hotel room, confiscating a mere 7 grams of cannabis, yet slapping them with a 3,850 kroner fine on the spot. The next day, whispers swirled that the security tapes had mysteriously vaporized, sparkling wild theories of hidden smuggling rings or a setup too clumsy to be innocent. Blake has always insisted it was nothing more than bad luck, but the rumor mill hasn't stopped churning since. On May 21, 2007, under the glare of the Florida sun, Amy and Blake Fielder's Civil slipped into the Miami-Dade County Courthouse and exchanged vows in a hushed ceremony that barely registered outside the building walls. Just 8 months later, Blake found himself back in court, this time at Snaresbrook Crown Court in London, where he pleaded guilty to grievous bodily harm and perverting the course of justice for a 2006 pub assault. Judge David Bradford handed him a 27-month sentence, having already served 9 months on remand, part of which he spent in Pentonville Prison. Amid the legal whirlwind, Amy's devotion endured on paper. Letters she penned to Blake from London, ink scrawled and full of longing, resurfaced years later at Julian's auctions. One such missive, dated February 18, 2008, fetched $4,480 in November 2022. In late August 2007, paparazzi snapped Amy stumbling down a London street, her makeup smeared and ballet shoes soaked through with blood, bruises marking her neck and bandaged arms telling a story more fraught than any tabloid headline. The images splashed across front pages after police confirmed they had attended the scene, though no criminal charges followed. Amy later suggested some of the injuries were self-inflicted, a stark reminder that behind her fierce onstage persona lay a private struggle few could see. On June 28, 2008, Glastonbury's Pyramid stage felt ready for a eulogy under stormy skies, but Amy blew away the doom-laden predictions with a fiery 50-minute set that had 100,000 mud-cake skeptics on their feet. She ripped through Back to Black like a storm, threw in playful nods to Prince, and even batted away a heckler mid-song. By sunrise, the papers weren't writing obituaries. They were shouting, "The phoenix has risen." Sure, Amy knew the roar of the crowd couldn't banish her private battles, but in that glorious, mud-splattered hour, she owned every second. On June 18, 2011, Colin McDonald Park Summer Festival in Belgrade braced for Amy's comeback, but instead got chaos. An hour late and shaky, she mumbled through her hits as 20,000 fans booed and flung beer cups. A few days later, her team pulled the plug on the entire European tour. Unconfirmed backstage rumors claim she wasn't begging for booze, but for a doctor. With manager emails locked away under NDAs, fans are left spinning theories. Was it burnout, breakdown, or something darker? Either way, that night went down in legend as Amy's rock bottom encore. On July 2013, 2 years after Amy's funeral, her brother Alex revealed to The Observer that she'd been battling bulimia since her teens, a hidden struggle behind the tabloid headlines of booze and drugs. The coroner's inquest blamed alcohol poisoning, but fans also argue that years of purging left her bones fragile and her heart vulnerable, an unseen battle that may have made that final drinking binge even deadlier. Picture Amy on a rehab carousel from 2007 to 2011. The Priory in Surrey for her first high-profile stint, followed by the exclusive Causeway retreat on Essex's Osea Island. Each check-in kicked off squeaky clean blood tests and fresh paparazzi camps outside. Insiders whisper that she continued writing through these clinic stints, scrawling napkin lyrics that she dreamed would haunt the charts one day. Just 2 weeks after Amy's funeral, Camden's calm turned to chaos. Someone smashed through the back window of her flat and walked off with her lyric notebooks and even her guitar, the very tool of her magic. The break-in was dismissed as a random smash and grab, but fans smelled something darker, a theft aimed straight at her genius. Not long after, mysterious snippets of unfinished demos started popping up online. Crackly, ghost-like, unmistakably Winehouse. Whether those tracks came from the heist or some other secret stash, no one knows. Her estate still won't say exactly what was taken, leaving everyone to wonder. Who needed Amy's unwritten songs so badly they'd risk jail to steal them? Hundreds of thousands of fans fit that memo. Let's loop back a little. It's roughly 10 a.m. on July 23, 2011, when bodyguard Andrew Morris pads up the stairs, peeks into Amy's bedroom, and assumes she's just enjoying a typical midday lie-in. No pulse check, no second glance. Fast forward to just before 3 p.m. when he returns, checks in with her, finds her completely unresponsive, and calls for help. Paramedics burst in at 3:54 p.m., pronounced her dead at the scene, and noted rigor mortis already taking hold before their arrival. How could someone dismissed as merely sleeping in collapse so suddenly? That question still haunts the mystery and begs, what warning signs slipped under our radar? Amy's Camden flat was surprisingly low-tech. No hallway cameras, no DVR humming in the corner, just silent walls and a stretch of empty corridor. When bodyguard Andrew Morris checked in earlier in the day, he saw her sleeping and left it at that. By the time he returned in the afternoon, those bare walls had absorbed every secret step and whispered moments with no record to show for it. Investigators had only Morris's testimony and the empty hallway as witnesses. No tape to rewind, no grainy frames to pore over, just a void where a story should be. In that unrecorded corridor, anything could have happened, and with no footage to prove otherwise, it remains one of the most tantalizing blanks in Amy Winehouse's final hours. That morning's casual check-in at 10 a.m. missed nothing more than a woman catching a few extra snoozes. But when Andrew Morris slipped back upstairs at 3 p.m., the scene had flipped. Amy lay silent, unresponsive, with no heartbeat and no breath. In less than an hour, by 3:54 p.m., paramedics confirmed her death immediately. Between that first glance and the final call, a 45-minute void swallowed every clue. There was no camera, no note, no eyewitness, just an empty hallway ticking the seconds away. What could have happened in that blank stretch? A final secret sip? A whispered conversation? Or something we're still too shy to admit? Whatever it was, those lost 45 minutes remain the unanswered verse in Amy's last song. Paramedics burst through the garden at 3:54 p.m. and announced Amy was gone before the stretcher even cleared her doorstep. The news hit Twitter in minutes, and immediately hundreds of fans swarmed Camden Square with candles in hand. In that heartbeat, flashing blue lights and hushed mourning became one unforgettable tableau. October 2011 delivered the bombshell. Amy's death was ruled as a misadventure thanks to alcohol poisoning. But by December 2012, word hit that the coroner, Suzanne Greenway, didn't actually have the legal creds for the job. Come January 2013, the whole inquest was tossed out and handled to a brand new coroner. The paper screamed, "Botched verdict," and suddenly, everybody was whispering that the real truth was still hiding in those discarded files. January 2013 rolled around, and Dr. Shirley Radcliffe's re-inquest stuck to the script. Misadventure. BAC at a staggering 0.416%. She kept the rest of those full toxicology charts under wraps, as required by UK law. Rumors mills churn over whispers of tiny Librium traces, or maybe even GHB, hiding just below the cutoff line. With the full lab sheet sealed away, the biggest question echoed through every fan forum. Was there a secret mix that the world's most watched autopsy decided to keep under lock and key? Think of it like this. Behind every screaming headline sits a locked vault of Amy's personal doctor's notes that never saw daylight at the inquest, from the Priory's healing rooms to the Causeway's calm retreat. Patient confidentiality slammed those files shut, leaving us with only tantalizing scraps instead of the full picture. No complete roadmap to the battles she fought, just puzzle pieces and endless questions about what really went on behind those clinic doors. Fringe theories are composed of 3 rival camps. The sudden sobriety shock camp. Amy's been clean for weeks, then downs a tidal wave of vodka, and her brain basically hits the emergency off switch, killing her. There's also the fragile heart fail theory. Years of bulimia had left her ticker too weak to handle one final round of shots, and that last bender being what tipped her over the edge. And the pill and punch theory. A sprinkle of anti-anxiety pills quietly amped up the booze's knockout power to lethal levels. This theory is often discarded as the second inquest did not find evidence of other drugs other than alcohol in her system. Each camp grabs a few facts and builds a case, but none answers the big question. Why didn't anyone try to help her and yank that last bottle away? The truth? That closing verse is still out there, waiting for someone to write it. Camden Stables Market, September 14, 2014. What would have been Amy's 31st birthday, when a towering bronze statue of Winehouse sprang to life? Now, every weekend, fans line up to press their own scarlet kisses to her unblinking metal cheeks, layering on lipstick so thick even the cleaners wave the white flag. She stands frozen, beehive intact, power stands locked, but silent on the fierce talent and stormy nights that once fueled her songs. Barely 60 days after the funeral, Mitch Winehouse channeled his grief into the Amy Winehouse Foundation, launching it in September 2011. These days, it bankrolls everything from jam-packed music therapy workshops to life-changing support for sober living, and even drug safety education initiatives across the UK. What started as a heartbroken dad's tribute has become a lifeline for thousands, helping them sidestep the same traps that caught Amy. When Asif Kapadia's Amy premiered in 2015, it tore the lid off Winehouse's life, and at the 2016 Oscars, it walked away with Best Documentary Feature, blasting Spotify plays and vinyl sales through the roof. But not everyone cheered. Some relatives grumbled that Kapadia cherry-picked moments, leaving out whole chapters of her story. Meanwhile, fans pour over every frame, whispering about vanished home tapes and secret interviews, convinced that the ultimate cut of Amy's saga is still locked away, waiting for its encore. April 2024 rolled around and Sam Taylor Johnson unleashed Back to Black onto the big screen, with Marissa Abela slipping into Amy's sky-high stilettos. Critics couldn't agree. Is it a loving send-up or a glossy cleanup of her messy brilliance? Even the trailer reignited fan fever. Who really owns the tapes from Amy's last studio night? And where are those final haunting vocals hiding? A decade on, we're left with the same mysteries. A closed bedroom door, a 0.416% BAC, a coroner ousted and replaced, stolen lyric books, and toxicology records sealed tighter than Fort Knox. Did Amy Winehouse take her final bow in the spotlight, or was her last scene directed by hands we never saw? Share your theory below, and next time Rehab spins, listen for the question that still echoes beneath every defiantly drawn no, no, no.